collaborative. We want to start by thanking our friends in Chicago at Chicago Springboard for inspiring us to create our first ever national road trip for all college-bound teens and their parents. And in addition to working for JumpSpark, I'm the proud parent of 2 rising seniors in high school who are on this call. When our spring and summer plans for touring colleges were canceled, like so many of you, my colleagues and I started to reach out to schools to see if they'd be interested in participating in a virtual college tour, sort of with a Jewish twist. And I'm thrilled to say that they were more than enthusiastic to participate in this endeavor, and that along with our friends at Forefront, Baltimore's Jewish Teen Initiative, we are bringing you 33 college tours in the month of June. Our Jump on the Bus virtual college road trip includes student-led tours, professional information sessions, and ways to virtually connect with the colleges you are interested in. New college tours and information sessions are held daily throughout the month of June. Follow us on social media at JumpSparkATL and our website, roadtriptocollege.org, to sign up for more sessions and to create your own personal road trip. I'm very excited to kick off our college road trip with Tulane University, of which I am a proud alumnus. Our panelists representing Tulane today are Owen Knight, Associate Director of Admissions, Josh Hare, Director of Jewish Life at Tulane Hillel, and Atlanta native Jordan Schulberg, a rising junior at Tulane and the daughter of 2 Tulane graduates. As our panelists are presenting, I want to invite you all to enter your questions in the Q&A box, and we're going to leave plenty of time to answer those questions during the second half of the webinar. So without further ado, I give you Owen Knight.
All right. Thanks so much, Amy. And thanks for having us on the road trip. It's an honor to be the first stop. I guess you're a little biased since you went to Tulane, but I'm glad to kick this thing off. Hello to everyone out there. Like Amy said, my name's Owen Knight. I'm Associate Director of Admission. I do work with students from Georgia. So for many of you out there, I'll be your admission counselor. I was actually Jordan's counselor back when she applied to Tulane, and it worked out for her. So hope to have that future for all of you as well. I'm just going to take maybe 10, 15 minutes, just do a kind of a basic overview about Tulane, and then pass it off to Jordan to talk about her experience. And then Josh, of course, will talk about Hillel and Jewish life on our campus as well. But I'm going to start with a video. Hopefully the screen sharing, the sound syncs up. If it doesn't, you can find this video online. It's just called Tulane Is. It's on our YouTube channel, but I'm going to go ahead and play this quick 2-minute video for you right now. So let me, yep.
First thing you see when you come on campus is a lot of trees and a lot of green.
I think the campus is absolutely gorgeous.
It's so pretty. I mean, look around behind me right now.
In the spring and the summertime, like it's such a happy place to be on campus.
I was just looking at the sunset and I could not believe that, like, I go to school here.
Good weather and great people, and I wanted students that love their college as well.
Everyone I talked to, the first thing they said was that they were still so happy to be here.
If you get into Tulane, you're into all of the undergraduate.
Double major, combined.
Especially with Tulane being a research powerhouse and so many things happening on campus, so many resources, it's really important that we put that back into the community. Having that opportunity to really kind of bring everything together at Tulane, I think it's going to make me a better person in the future.
I love that you want to such a vibrant city, and it's really like to be able to get to live for 4 years. Like, that's a lot of people can do that.
When I'm going to be out of my living experience, there's no doubt one word to describe all amazing things that I've done beyond. I don't know. Tulane.
I met people here from all over the world who just work to lift one another up.
It has so much opportunity here, like any dream you have, you can really do it.
The students I've met, like the friends that I've made.
It was the best experience I've ever had.
right. Sorry, it looked like my computer had a heart attack in the middle there, but you get the idea. I mean, our campus is physically gorgeous. There's a lot to offer, and now I'm gonna pull up a PowerPoint and just show, just go through a quick highlights of the university and some of the things that I think make it a great place to go. I'm very excited that you guys have the chance to do this program, this road trip where you've got, what, 33 schools out there, because I think it's really important to explore as many options as there are out there and figure out what you're looking for, look at different types of schools, because something we say all the time is that there are no bad schools out there, there are only bad fits. But I think the great thing about Tulane is that it can be a great fit for a lot of different types of student. So now I'll just take maybe 10 minutes and kind of walk through these slides here. So hopefully you can see that. Oh, there we go, full screen. Okay. So yeah, so when I talk about Tulane, I kind of like to split it into three parts. Academics, obviously that's super important. Student life, what your life is going to be like, and then New Orleans. We cannot ignore that we are in one of the most interesting cities on planet Earth, and it just makes our college experience that much richer. I've lived here in New Orleans now for a decade, and I've never been bored. It's one of the most amazing places you could ever be. And I think it's important to think of all three of those factors when you're evaluating any college. And I hope you use this frame of thinking when you go into the other stops on this road trip, because again, it's not just about the degree you'll be getting. It's about the opportunities you have inside and outside the classroom and just the total package. It's 4 years of your life, and you want to make sure you're as happy as you can possibly be, and it's the right match for you. So academically speaking, Tulane's a medium-sized major research university, and we do offer a ton of options in terms of fields of study. So we have over 75 majors here at Tulane spread across our 5 undergraduate colleges. Pictured on the right there, that is our brand new A.B. Freeman School of Business, a really nice facility in there. That is the largest school at Tulane by enrollment. There's also the School of Science and Engineering, the School of Liberal Arts, the School of Public Health, which is a super topical field of study, and then the School of Architecture as well. So those 5 schools make up the university, and you may have caught this in the video, but one of the students in there said that when you get into Tulane, you do get into all 5 schools. So you do not apply directly to the business program. You do not apply directly to the English department. When you get in, you're into everything. You're into all 75 majors. So that flexibility is really, really fantastic. The size of the university, I think, enhances the academic experience. We're just under 8,000 students. So we have a very manageable class size, average class size of 23, student to faculty ratio of 8:1. I think this is really incredible, regardless of what kind of high school you're coming from, because if you're like me and you go to a public high school, or I went to a public high school, you're probably ready for some smaller classes when you get to college. Or if you're at a smaller private school like a Weber or something, you've been used to having small class sizes, and the idea of jumping from a 15-person classroom to a 300-person classroom can be a little bit intimidating. So I think we're able to hit that sweet spot where socially, yeah, it's really different from high school. It's a brand new experience, but in the classroom, you're still able to get that personal touch. In terms of the ratio, that's really helpful in terms of our students building relationships with professors, being able to be comfortable asking for opportunities to work in their lab on research, to get their help looking and applying for internships, things of that nature. So those opportunities are really vast at Tulane. I mentioned the flexibility at the beginning, but I just want to hammer home that point. You have until the end of your sophomore year to declare your major. And again, you're not tied into one school or one program. So if you change your mind, if you think you're going to be pre-med, but you get to Tulane and all of a sudden you decide you want to work on Wall Street, you don't need to apply again. You don't need to start over. I think someone had sent in a question about if we have a set curriculum or if you have a lot of freedom in terms of picking your classes. Definitely more towards the freedom. We do have a core curriculum at Tulane, but it applies to every single student, whether you're business, science, liberal arts, architecture, whatever. You have the same basic Tulane requirements. So within each requirement, there's a lot of various options that allow you to experiment with different majors, try a bunch of different things, and move forward from there. So I personally switched my major twice when I was at Tulane, and I still ended up graduating in 4 years with 2 majors and a minor. So it is very user-friendly, very flexible, and you don't need to stress about like deciding right now what you want to do with the rest of your life. That's totally okay. Student life, I mean, it's one of the things that just I think separates Tulane from so many places, just like the vibrancy of our campus and just the opportunity to really get involved in whatever it is that you're passionate about. I mentioned the size. I think this is really great from a personal perspective because it's not so large that, you don't recognize anyone when you're walking around campus. It's just small enough though that like any, random class you take, you're going to have a familiar face in there. You're going to have a friend. Anytime you wander into the dining hall, you're going to be able to sit at a table and find some of your friends. But senior year, I was still making new friends. So it really is a really wonderful size, very active student body. Some may say Tulane kids are actually over involved, if anything at all. But yeah, we have over 250 organizations on our campus. Obviously, Jewish life is a big thing that we'll be speaking about, but students are very multifaceted. They get involved in their religious life. They get involved in a sorority or fraternity. They play a club sport, student government, getting a job, getting an internship, working at a restaurant in downtown. There's so much to offer. We do have a D1 athletic program in the American Athletic Conference. So the Naval Academy is in our conference, University of Houston, SMU, various other schools. And pictured there is the football team. We have a football stadium on campus, which has been amazing in terms of school spirit and being able to still kind of scratch that itch. For me, part of me really wanted to go to an SEC school. And I know for a lot of you, rooting for UGA football has been really, really fun over the years. But for me, I really struggled with like, do I want to go to a football school? Do I want to go to a smaller school? Like, I had a really tough time figuring out what was best for me. And I love that at Tulane, you still get kind of the best of both worlds. You still have that opportunity to cheer on your school and have a, major athletic program. But the size of the university, like I said, is a little bit more personal and palatable for certain people, depending on what you're looking for. Greek life at Tulane, we do recruitment in the spring semester, which I think is fantastic. You're able to kind of get your feet on the ground and join clubs and meet people organically, and then figure out which house feels right for you. You don't need to rush into a decision. The student body, they come from all over the country, all over the world. We've got all 50 states represented, over 70 different countries on our campus, obviously a large Jewish population, and it just creates this really interesting mix of people. Tulane is getting more diverse year over year. The incoming freshman class that are starting this August, 33% of that class is students of color or international students. So you are really getting a broad worldview. You're going to meet people that have lived entirely different lives from you. And I think it just enriches your experience as a student and allows you to get to know people from all over and prepare yourself for life after college when you're going to be living with and working with people from all over the place. And finally, service is a huge part of the Tulane community, huge part of just our mission as a school. And I love it because our service projects, they feel a lot more personal. They feel a lot more collaborative, and you're working with the community for an extended period of time, and you're not just visiting. I think it allows you to think about your privilege in a more respectful way, and it allows you to get to know the people of New Orleans and help them work on a project that they are excited about as well. So you're often seeing that tied into one of your classes or an extracurricular activity. I mean, one of the cutest examples is our service dog training program, where we have about a dozen puppies being raised on campus to be service animals. But again, those span the board, and it's a graduation requirement actually. So it literally is a major part of going to Tulane. Finally, had to hit you with some black and gold here, even if you're a Falcons fan, had to do it. But yeah, New Orleans, it's one of the best places you could ever live. Service, I think, is a great first way that students start to get their feet wet and push out of the campus bubble. For those of you who haven't been on campus, you might not realize our campus is not on Bourbon Street. Our campus is in uptown New Orleans. It's in a very residential area. It's beautiful. Audubon Park across the street, just Google it. It's one of the prettiest places that you'll ever find. And you get that amazing combination of having a college town feel in our neighborhood, but you're 15 minutes away from the downtown of one of the most exciting cities on planet Earth. South Louisiana has over 365 festivals per year. Pictured there is Jazz Fest, New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival. One of the first festivals you'll have in the fall is Voodoo Fest, which is over in City Park, which is over Halloween weekend, which is a really fun time. We do Crawfest on our campus, Po' Boy Fest in November. You're going to gain like 300 pounds if you go to Tulane, but it is very worth it. Some world-class restaurants, amazing music, And again, it's accessible in a way where it doesn't feel like on an average Tuesday when you need to focus on school, it doesn't feel like you need to worry about a parade going by your dorm. But when there's something exciting going on in the city, it's really easy to get to. And then finally, I'll say it is very easy to get involved in New Orleans, and it's a big enough economy where there are internship opportunities, summer opportunities, or if you wanted to use our alumni network to try something around the country, you can do that as well, again, since we're getting students from everywhere. So I'll wrap up quickly with 3 quick tips for you. Apply early. So we do have early decision and early action. Early decision at many schools, you'll hear about this. This is that binding option where you sign a thing that says, hey, if I get in, I'm coming. We know that's not a feasible option for everybody. We know money's a question mark. Visiting this year is a question mark. That's okay. Do early action. That's due November 15th. You'll hear back by January 15th. And that is, either of those are much more of a viable option than regular. Regular decision at Tulane is a lot more difficult to get in. Engagement with us. I commented this in the chat, but I see some familiar names already, and that's a good thing. My job is to advocate for you. If you're not from Georgia, you will be working with another counselor, but all of us in the office are very passionate about getting to know our students, and it's a lot more fun for us to go to bat for students that we feel we've gotten to know and are a good fit for Tulane and want to be here. Because ultimately, with demonstrated interest, I know that term is very, very loaded, and it feels like you need to check every box and check every email and do every tour you can. But really, it's about me as a human being being able to sit in front of my boss and say, hey, if I admit Jordan, she might come to Tulane. We have a shot. And that's what it's about. So don't feel like you need to email me every single day, but it's certainly helpful to get to know your counselor. And then finally, be yourself. If you're applying to a college that you feel like you need to pretend you're somebody else on your application to get in, maybe that's not the college you should be going to. You should be embraced for the things that make you who you are, the activities you do, the passions you have in the classroom, and just be honest, write what you want to write on your essay, and it'll all be fine. But that's all I have for you. I wanted to go through that pretty quickly so we have plenty of time for Q&A at the end. And now I believe it's Jordan's turn to talk about her experience as a Tulane student.
Yeah, all right. Hi, everyone. My name is Jordan Schulberg. I'm from Atlanta. I actually went to Davis Academy until 8th grade, and then I graduated PACE in 2018. So I'm a rising junior at Tulane studying psychology, and I'm actually doing a double minor in our School of Liberal Arts Management and social innovation and social entrepreneurship. So I've really enjoyed that. So some things that I've gotten involved in on campus, I'm a part of Greek Life. I actually became a Tulane tour guide, which has been really fun. I did that this past semester and have absolutely loved it. I am also part of student government. This past year, I was in charge of the freshman-oriented program that we have in student government. And this year, I'll actually be the director of student engagement. So I get to plan all the events and work with students to decide what they want to see from student government. And I've absolutely loved that. So when I applied to Tulane, like they said before, both my parents went to Tulane. So I've always loved the school, but I didn't necessarily know if the school was right for me. So I was one of those students that just waited till the very end to finally commit to a school. I didn't know what I wanted. I was really stressed. Something that really helped me was actually writing the Why Tulane essay, because it really showed me what I wanted in a school. And I really narrowed it down to 3 things that I loved about Tulane that really solidified that for me. The first one being the size of the school. Like Owen said, that it's the perfect combination of a big and small school. In the video, that was actually the first time I've seen this specific video. I knew so many people in the video. I was actually very surprised, and that's just something I love about Tulane. You walk around campus and you always see a familiar face, and it really helps you not feel lost or overwhelmed at a school. But also, we still have that spirit and that you can still meet people and all the good things that people love and look for in a big school as well. The second thing that I love about Tulane is the service emphasis. Coming from 2 different schools that really valued service, I really was looking for that, especially because I potentially want to go into the nonprofit field. So service was so important for me. And I really enjoyed the service learning classes. I actually have taken more than I actually need to graduate. And it's just really cool because you get to go into the New Orleans community and not just do a service project, but actually learn why it's impactful and the root causes of why you are engaging in these different activities and these different projects. And then the third one, like Owen said, is obviously New Orleans. There's just seriously no school like that, that has such a great city to be in. When I was in my freshman orientation, someone said to me, it's like traveling and leaving the country without a passport. And I've always remembered that because I truly think that New Orleans is unlike any other city in the US. And it's such a cool experience because you get to be part of such a unique culture that is just so incredible and fun and different. And there's just the best food, the best music. It really is just my favorite place, and it's become my favorite place. And I'm actually counting down the days till we get to be back on campus in August and back in New Orleans. So when I came to Tulane, Jewish life was obviously very important to me. I was very lucky to find a group of friends that are also from Jewish families that value their Jewish culture and religion as well. Every single Friday, we go to Shabbat services at Chabad. We frequently go to Hillel to eat lunch. I actually had multiple classes in Hillel, even though they weren't even Jewish related. It's cool to be in that environment all the time. There's so many different clubs that my friends participate in, and I just always feel like there's a Jewish element that I can be part of on campus. We go to all the holidays together. We have Rosh Hashanah dinner together. It's just really such a great community for Jewish individuals. And I have always felt comfortable being Jewish on Tulane's campus. In fact, I feel like everyone really wants to learn about the Jewish community. My roommate wasn't Jewish my freshman year, and she comes with me to almost every Friday night dinner. There's this huge Shabbat event on our quad where we have 1,000+ students come, and there's so many non-Jewish students there just wanting to learn about the culture and learn about Shabbat. And it's something that I truly love about Tulane's campus. But overall, I've had a really, really positive experience at Tulane. I love the school more than anything at this point, and I know for a fact that I love it not just because my parents went here, but because it actually was the right school for me. And I highly encourage everyone to apply and to try to visit if you can. I know it's a really hard and unprecedented time right now, but that school really just sells itself as soon as you get there. Everyone's just so happy and welcoming and smiling all the time, and it really is one of the greatest places. So on that note, I'm going to pass it over to Josh, who's going to talk more about Hillel and the programs they offer.
Yeah, thank you, Jordan. Hello, everyone. My name is Josh Hare. I'm the Director of Jewish Life at Tulane Hillel. Super excited to be here, and even more excited to talk to you a little bit about Hillel at Tulane. We've got a lot of exciting things going on, and I'm going to take a quick moment right now to share my screen with you to let you see some of the cool pictures and stuff we've got going on at Hillel. Looks like it's loaded up. So welcome. I wanted to talk about two aspects of our program, and then of course answer any questions you have. Like Jordan said, like Owen said, we've got a very active Jewish community at Tulane, and we've got a lot of programs going on throughout the year. We're doing a lot of stuff over the summer right now, and a lot of that happens through our Tulane Jewish Leaders program, which is something that really sets us apart from a lot of other Hillels on college campuses. So I'll talk a little bit about that as well. But I wanted to start just briefly right here in the center. We have this nice little illustration. We have a really nice building on Broadway, about a 2 to 3 minute walk from campus. So it's really accessible during the day, whether you want to come by and grab a free coffee. We have free printing, great space to study. I always kind of equate it to a coffee shop because I'm a coffee shop working type person. And you can see some pictures here. There's really awesome places to just kind of hang out and relax a little bit. Like Jordan said as well, we have some classrooms in the building, and they range quite a few different majors. So it's not just, let's say, Israel studies or Hebrew classes, but instead a wide range of classes take place in our building. So you might even stop by for that as well. And then lastly, on our main floor, we have Ramon, which is actually our Hillel restaurant in the building. I see some cheers there. It's a kosher restaurant. It's a great eating option. It's on the Tulane meal plan if you elect the kosher meal plan. And really, as a person who doesn't keep strictly kosher, I love Ramon, as do many others. And we kind of consider that a great measure to know that the food is pretty excellent. So that's another place. If you get a chance to come by campus and Hillel, once we open back up, stop by, grab something to eat and try it out yourself. Got a nice little dining room in there, and they also cater all of our Shabbat meals. So to talk a little about Jewish life, the first thing, like I mentioned, is Tulane Jewish Leaders, our TJL program. The kind of cool thing that we do is that students get to decide how our Hillel operates in every level. And what that means is, incoming as a freshman, you'll have the opportunity to apply into TJL. It's a few interviews with us to get to know you, to figure out what your interests are, how you might want to be involved with Hillel. And then from there, we kind of bring your vision to life. So whether you're a horseback rider and want to do something with horseback riding, if you love Jewish holidays and want to do what I really loved doing this year was our Hanukkah party, want to take part in that. If you want to form a book club, if you care about fashion and want to learn about upcycling, that's even better. We've got a really, really wide range of opportunities for students to get involved in, and you get to kind of plan your own event. So we kind of consider ourselves a little bit of an incubator on campus for over 400, give or take, active Tulane Jewish leaders at any given time. So it's a great, great opportunity to polish your leadership skills, get involved in Hillel in a way that makes sense for you, whether that's one program a year or 10 a month, and also meet other Jewish students. We've got students who went to camp in BBYO and USY, grew up at Reform Camp, everywhere and everything and anything in between. So it's a great opportunity to meet other Jewish students who might have a similar background, who might want to hang out with you on Shabbat, share a meal with you, or work on a program with you together. So we have some other holiday opportunities as well. This is one of our seders from a few years ago on the balcony of our building. And the cool thing to point out here is a lot of our programs will span from maybe 10 or 15 people to our Shabbat dinners that average about 200 to 300 people. So with that too, and I liked what Owen said earlier about the class size, whether you're a person who really appreciates a small group of people to get to know them well, we got you covered. And if you're super excited to jump in, to meet a lot of people, to come to a holiday party at Hillel, something like that, we've got you there as well. A wide range of opportunities to engage in. This is actually for Sukkot a few years as well. Great picture. We have a little front lawn in front of our building. Again, we're right on Broadway Street. Also point out there, Alana with the white tank top in the back, that's one of our other staff members. Myself and 3 others include ourselves on the programs team. So we work individually with students all the time. And then we also have a staff of about 5 more people that work on kind of our operations side. So it's really cool that we get to hang out with you all the time, bring you out for coffee, bring you out for a meal, whatever. And we love when you stop by our building. To be honest, right now, I'm really missing my people when I hang out in my office and students are able to swing by. So a few more things to talk about, one being Shabbat dinner. And I kind of see some questions coming in, and I assume some others will have some questions about this later. We offer Shabbat every Friday night. We have a free Shabbat dinner that is open to everyone, whether you'd like to come with your friends from camp you grew up with, or your new roommate who's not Jewish and just wants to check it out, all is well. Everyone's invited. Our meals catered by Ramon. So it's a full kosher meal, family style. And we also offer Shabbat services beforehand. So that often includes a little bit of snacking, learning, singing, and typically we have a Reform and conservative minyan. So if you'd like to try either of those, mix and match, however you see fit, that's open to everyone as well. So Shabbat's a lot of fun. We don't take pictures of people on Shabbat, but I did like to include these pictures so you could kind of see a little bit more of our building and kind of what a typical Friday night looks like at Hillel. But this is normally packed with people, and that's on a smaller Friday night. So we're really excited for the beginning of the year and the end of the year as well, when we have those bigger Shabbat dinners and really get to welcome a lot of people into our building. And then the last thing I'll talk about is kind of Israel. Another really interesting thing we have on our campus. Not only does New Orleans have a pretty cool Jewish and Israeli population, but we also connect a lot with food, and we connect a lot with Israeli students. So if you count yourself in that community, we have a staff member from Israel who deals mostly with our Israel programming, with Birthright, if that's something you're interested in going on. And we have a few of these groups as well of students to meet together and hang out, grab a meal. You'll see this picture. I'm actually heading to see my staff later tonight at the Fly, another great hotspot for Tulane students. Like I mentioned, food over here on the left, a famous chef here in New Orleans. He just actually did a program, a virtual program for us, and did one a little while ago on teaching how to make hummus. But we also do other kind of interesting Israeli things. If you're interested in Israeli Zumba or dancing, Krav Maga, we sponsor a whole slew of classes for students to take throughout the year, of course for free. Everyone's welcome, as kind of a more interesting way to engage with Israeli culture. And that's a lot of fun as well. I know our Israel fellow Omri would be upset at me if I didn't show you the camel we had a few years ago at Israel Fest. So here's the camel, here's Israel Fest, a lot of fun as well on campus. And then lastly, a picture of our Birthright crew from a while back. So we offer Summer Birthright, a great way to experience Israel if you haven't already, and an even better way to make some new friends from your Birthright bus. Lastly, there's our Israeli dancing course, fun different ways to get involved. And of course, at the end, I have my information. I think we'll share it more later. Happy to answer questions. But I hope that gives you a little bit of a look at Jewish life at Tulane Hillel and kind of gets you excited for the really cool, innovative things that we offer. So thanks again all for listening, and thanks for tuning in.
That was awesome, you guys. Thank you, Owen and Josh and Jordan. That was fantastic. Again, I invite everyone to type your questions into the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. And we're going to start with some questions that were posed during the registration process. Owen, this is for you. Can you share some of the campus housing options for all 4 years for students?
Sorry, I forgot to unmute. I'd encourage you to check out the dorm tours on YouTube. We have, I believe, 7 options for freshmen. And then for sophomores, it's kind of a free for all. You get to pick whatever building you want of the options. And that is, you have a lot more agency as a sophomore. As a freshman, it is a random assignment unless you apply for a residential learning community, RLC. So I'd encourage you to read up on those. Those are basically themed housing options, and those are sometimes placed in specific buildings. Otherwise, you'll be put into a random building with a random roommate, or you can request a roommate. My advice, wherever you go to college, don't just pick to live with someone for a year just because their Instagram's cute. Like, actually get to know the person and talk to them. But yeah, sophomore year, you have to live on campus sophomore year as well. And then you can pick your suite, you can pick your 3 friends, your 2 friends, or 7 other people to live with. And then most of our students move off campus for junior and senior year.
Excellent. The next question is about Loyola, which is the college that's right next door to Tulane. And this person wants to know, how is it having them as a neighbor?
Oh, is that for me too? Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Yes, Owen. Or, you know, I know when I was there, I took a class at Loyola as well. So can you talk a little bit about reciprocity?
Yeah, it's a very friendly relationship that we have. I think both Loyola and Tulane know that we are wildly different institutions in terms of the populations we cater to and just kind of the general feel for the university. They're a much smaller liberal arts Jesuit university. So they do have a lot of different course offerings that we do not have. So a lot of my friends took maybe music production courses over there, music business, religion courses, and some Loyola students take advantage of Tulane. I know Tulane students love the dining hall over at Loyola because it offers just a change of pace. Our old dining hall was called Bruff, so we'd call Loyola's dining hall Luff, and I would go there quite a bit. But yeah, it's very friendly. I got to know a lot of Loyola kids through my roommate who played the drums, and he was in a bunch of bands with Loyola kids, and it's a very friendly neighborhood relationship.
Yeah, I would agree. For the most part, the campuses, they do share basically a wall, but they are still separated enough where you do feel like you're on your campus and you don't really realize that there's another school right next door to you. But it's really great because you could even wear a Tulane shirt to their dining hall and everyone's so nice, so friendly. They have Subway, Smoothie King, like all these great restaurants there as well that we can use our Tulane meal plans at, which has been really great as well. And additionally, Loyola students are allowed to use our meal plan, which is good as well.
Great, thank you. So there's another question about any other opportunities in Jewish life other than Hillel. Jordan and Josh, if you want to talk a little bit about that, whether it's Chabad or the synagogues that surround Tulane.
Sure. I know Jordan will be able to talk about Chabad a little bit more than I can. We do have a Chabad on campus, and that's a great option. I love that we kind of work together a lot. And one of those things is actually on Shabbat 1000 that Chabad hosts on the Quad. But outside, I'll talk about that. We actually have quite a few synagogues in the area of Tulane, which as somebody who didn't grow up in New Orleans or go to school here was really surprising to me. But upon moving here, realized there's a really vibrant Jewish life in the area, just 10-minute walk from campus. So if you're looking for a reform shul, I believe there's 2 within walking distance. And conservative, there's one that's a little bit farther, and then there's like 2 other more traditional shuls a little bit farther away. Some students will drive if they're comfortable with that on Shabbat, or if they're going there on the weekend, or they'll find some other way to get there. I don't have too many students that are involved with those congregations, but there's a lot of opportunity there. And like I said, too, really awesome like Jewish food, Israeli cuisine culture. Another surprising thing, great falafel in New Orleans. But there's definitely stuff off campus as well. Jordan, maybe you could talk some more about that as well.
Yes, so something that I've also attended a lot at Tulane is Chabad. Chabad also puts on Shabbat dinners. They put on Monday night dinners called HaBBQ, where they do barbecue food. It's also a chance for students to get involved in leadership. They can be on the Chabad board and help plan these events. They host different holidays and meals for that. Something that I love is that there really is such a community of just Jewish individuals on campus. So whether you go to Hillel, you go to Chabad, you go to both, you're going to find those students and really get involved and see what they're doing off campus as well. So I love going to both of these different organizations.
Great, thank you. Okay, so under Q&A, we have somebody who has said that Tulane is ranked number 5 as in party schools through Princeton Review. How does this affect student life, and how does the school address this? So Owen, do you want to maybe talk about this? And then maybe Jordan, you can talk a little bit about balancing social, community involvement, and academic.
Yeah, I'll definitely let Jordan take the lead on this after I just say, like, honestly, to me, like, that gets overblown just because New Orleans is a party city. New Orleans is one of the most exciting places. I mentioned how many festivals we have. We have Mardi Gras, you know, like it's unavoidable. Something I quickly realized when I got here, and I know another student asked about, like, they're a little nervous because they're introverted and they don't want to necessarily go out all the time. There's a very big difference between being social and partying. And I think New Orleans and Tulane give you infinite opportunities to be social and do interesting things and be with your friends. You don't have to drink to enjoy those things. And for me, I was very excited to live in a city where my whole life wasn't dictated by the football schedule and fraternity parties, and I could actually go out and do interesting stuff and still have a great weekend and still be able to take my exam on Monday. You know, so I think any college, obviously students are going to encounter a beer or two, but I think at Tulane and in New Orleans, there's so much more than just that. There's so much more than just partying. And I think that difference can get lost sometimes, but I'd love to hear Jordan chime in from a current student voice too.
No, yeah, I would definitely agree. I think the fact that New Orleans is just such a vibrant culture in and of itself definitely inherently gives Tulane that reputation. I can say without a doubt in my mind that I've never felt pressured to do anything that I don't feel comfortable doing. I've never felt like I needed to go out or do anything like that. People really value their academics here. So let's say you have an exam and there's an event or something you want to go to, students will stay in and study. Like, I've never felt like I needed to do something that I didn't want to. Additionally, there's so many different activities and clubs that are offered. There's Tulane After Dark, which offers a wide variety of activities for students to do in the evening. Like, they'll put on movies, different game nights, stuff like that on Tulane's campus. So it gives you a lot of activities to do on campus. And really, I met all of my friends through different clubs that I participated in. So my freshman year, I was involved in a program called Best Buddies. And through that program, I met 2 of my best friends to this day that I'm living with for the next 2 years. So for me, I really feel like it is what you make it, and that's with any school. But yeah, I do know that the reputation does exist, but I haven't felt it on campus.
Something I like to say is that Tulane students are extremely smart and they really care about school. It's just they don't only care about school. And I think that just balanced culture can sometimes get misconstrued. But, you know, students would rather be involved in Best Buddies than only focus on school and only care about getting a 4.0. And I think that's what makes Tulane a really wonderful community to be part of.
Yeah, and then one more thing that I forgot to mention. I just think that New Orleans has so many cool events that you can go to, whether or not that's in the French Quarter. And so I guess that also brings a little bit of a party element to it, or party definition, or element. Yeah, yeah. I don't know how to say, but there's so many events. Like I've been to Po' Boy Fest, I've been to Fried Chicken Fest, I've been to King Cake Festival, which are just all these festivals celebrating food and celebrating the culture of New Orleans, that aren't on Bourbon Street or aren't in the French Quarter, that area where you would see this big party element. And it's just stuff that you get to experience with your friends and try new foods and take part in different events.
Great, thank you. Okay, Owen, this one's for you. For rising juniors, when's it appropriate to begin engaging with admissions? And what do you recommend in terms of for a rising junior? How should they engage with you?
Yeah, great question. I mean, I've said that, I think I said this in a chat or in a response to a different question, but it's about the quality of the interactions, not the quantity. A story I tell a lot is I was at the NACAC College Fair in Atlanta a couple years ago, and this young man came up to me and he said, "Hey, I'd like to demonstrate my interest." And he filled out his card and he checked the box, and on paper he did what he was supposed to do, but that was so strange, and just that's not what it's about. It's not about checking boxes. It's about giving me the talking points so that when I read your application, when I fill out your file, when I speak to the committee and to the dean, I can say, if Josh gets in, he could come here. He might come. He might make this decision. And you don't need to like guarantee that you will come. That's what ED's for. But otherwise, you just want to give us some level of confidence that you might come. So for rising junior, kicking the tires on our virtual events, maybe coming down for a tour when things get safe, all of that are great ways. But some misconception is that a lot of people think you have to visit Tulane to get in. That is not true. You do not need to buy a plane ticket and fly down to New Orleans or drive the 6.5 hours from Atlanta to get in. However, you do need to do something. So if I go to your school, if I do an info session in Atlanta, try to do those if visiting is not viable for you. But basically, it's about giving me the opportunities to help you. So yeah, send me an email, let me get to know you, because if you're a real human being and I can put a face to a name, that makes my job easier and it makes it more fun, quite honestly, too.
And I know somebody, you might have already answered this, but maybe not out loud. The people who are participating in this event today, would you consider this demonstrated interest?
Again, I think I said no, because I don't. This isn't a Tulane event. I'm just here to help you guys and just share information. But this is an example of a way you can use. Like I'm considering this more like personal research. And again, don't get too bogged down into the boxes or the categories or the classifications of this stuff. Like, you're a human being. You have taken time out of your day to learn about Tulane. I very much appreciated that, and you can tell me. Tell me in the email, tell me in your why Tulane optional statement, like, hey, I hadn't heard much about Tulane, but I saw they were doing this road trip on Instagram and I decided to sign up. Like, that's totally fine. Again, I'm a human being and I'm trying to vocalize that you might come to Tulane. So no, this is not a Tulane event, so we're not tracking it, but that doesn't mean it's not going to help you in the admission process.
Okay, very good. Okay, another one for you, Owen. With Tulane being test optional next year, what will the GPA range be that you're sort of looking for?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one to answer because we don't know exactly how many students are going to be test optional this year. But what I do feel comfortable saying is, like, if you don't submit test scores, we will have to take a closer look at your transcript. Because basically question one we're trying to answer when we read an application is if a student can handle it academically, if they can succeed academically at Tulane. The good news is we don't need test scores to figure that out. But we're going to look at the rigor on your transcript. We're going to look at trends in grades. We're going to look at your curriculum and your performance in the context of your particular high school. That's not to say you're getting compared against everyone else in your high school, but we want to make sure you took advantage of the curriculum available to you. So traditionally, I say our average grades are in like, the 3.6 ballpark, more A's than B's, but that could vary a lot if you're not sending in test scores. It's too early to call, unfortunately. I can't give a definitive answer there.
Okay. Owen, how here's a question, and this is actually, Jordan, you can help with this one. How do you adapt to freshman life on campus? Well, this actually, so there's several parts of this question, but let's start with this. As a freshman, what can somebody expect, and how, you go, you don't know anybody, how do you adapt as a new student?
I'm sure people are tired of hearing my voice, so I'll let Jordan go first on this one.
Yeah, so immediately when you get onto campus, you do have a freshman orientation. That's been modified since mine, so I don't know exactly what the details are of it. But through that orientation, you really meet everyone on your floor, and you meet a lot of different floors in your dorm. This is where I made one of my best friends as well, was through this floor and all this bonding that you do on your floor. Additionally, you're put into a TIDES class. So every freshman's required to take a TIDES class. It's almost like a transitions class where you get acquainted with the different resources Tulane has to offer, but it's also specific to specific interests you may have. So there's all different types of TIDES classes, whether that be the history of New Orleans music, or running TIDES, or salsa dancing TIDES. The one that I chose to do was community engagement and nonprofit. So you have a focus on that specific topic, but then within that, they tell you different resources you have on campus, and you're assigned a peer mentor who's a sophomore that's really has been through their freshman year, and they just want to help you in any way possible. And then something that everyone will always say is join clubs. And the way to do that is by going to the activities fair that we put on. And in the activities fair, there's 200 plus organizations all tabling and showing you what their organization is, how you can sign up for it, what you have to do to be involved, the things that they do on campus. And freshmen go to that and sign up for like 70 clubs, or you can sign up for one club. And that's just a great way to start to get involved and see different things on campus. But for sure, you have your RAs on each floor, you have your TIDES peer mentors, and you have your wave leaders during orientation. And all these are great resources for students.
Very good. Okay. Here's a question about mental health support. A huge percentage of students, deal with anxiety. What kinds of resources does Tulane have to support that? Owen, do you want to start with that?
Sure. Yeah, this is a conversation that I'm glad we're having today, and I'm glad college students and high school students are having now. Because when I was in high school, we sure as heck didn't really talk about this stuff at all. Like, it's incredible how far it's come in 10 years. So Tulane is very supportive of our students and providing them resources for whatever they might have going on, whether that's based off of a diagnosed condition, or if just the adjustment to college has proved to be really challenging. So there's a lot of levels to it. I mean, from the academic support services, but in terms of mental health specifically, there's a whole office on campus called CAPS, Counseling and Psychological Services, where students have free appointments and free availability to meet with mental health professionals on campus. They do also offer, aside from individual counseling, they do different groups, and they do, just different meetings and whatnot, depending on what you have. For freshmen especially, that transition can be really difficult, and it's very normal to feel a little lost and at times unhappy during your freshman year of college. And I will say, especially with social media, like, you're scrolling through Instagram, you're lonely in your dorm room, and you're miserable, and you see everybody at a UGA football game. Like, you can feel like you're comparing your lowest moments to someone else's highest moments, and it can be really tough. So that's very normal. So just life advice in general: don't compare your lowest moments to your friend's Instagram feed. But in terms of on campus, I mentioned CAPS. We also have folks called success coaches on campus, who are kind of a combination between a counselor and an academic advisor, who help you kind of develop strategies and things to help the adjustment to college go more smoothly. But I'd say just overall, the culture at Tulane has become much more mental health focused in my time here. And I think students are very supportive of each other, and it's not stigmatized in the way that it used to be.
Jordan, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, we also have peer hotlines and stuff like that, where if you ever feel really lonely, there's so many different resources that we have, and they're all on the back of our splash card. So you're supposed to carry your splash card around with you everywhere. So you always have those numbers in case you don't feel safe or you want to talk to someone. I agree, there's still so much work Tulane needs to do, just as all other schools need to do, to continue promoting that, but I've always felt supported at Tulane. And I know there's so many resources for me if I need them. And if you ever don't know where to start, you can go to your resident advisor, who there's one on every floor of your dorm, and ask where to go. And they'll be more than willing to help you figure out what your first step should be.
Great. Here's a question. How will COVID-19 affect the admissions process or the, And I just also want to mention, I was going to mention this at the very end, but tomorrow at 12:30, we're doing a whole webinar with Jeff Schiffman, who's the Dean of Admissions at Tulane, about COVID-19 and college admissions. So please register for that as well. But Owen, do you want to address that?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a broad question, but it's certainly going to affect things, especially for the rising seniors out there. Test optional is going to be the main one. And I think just overall, like, my job's going to be harder this fall. Like, I think we're going to have to be a lot more careful and just a lot more compassionate when it comes to applications, and understand that this semester has been the weirdest one of your life, and potentially your high school has not given you grades and you can't do your summer programs and all that. But what I've been trying to tell students to help ease the stress behind all of this, or minimize the stress, is like, every junior, every rising senior in the country and in the world is undergoing some similar situation to you. And colleges understand that. We know, you're not going to be penalized for not playing lacrosse this semester. You're not going to be penalized for not being able to do the musical. Like, we are not looking for reasons to say no. My job is associate director of admission. It's not associate director of rejection. Like, we want to help you. And so we will look at everything through that kind of, I guess, understanding lens this semester, and just know that this semester has been vastly affected by Corona. I think in terms of engagement, interest, like I said, it's never been a requirement to visit Tulane, but we know we are not hosting nearly as many visitors, not even remotely as many visitors as we used to. And we understand, like, this is crazy. The Common App, I believe, is going to have an optional section where you can talk about coronavirus. And I am very happy that they are doing that, because I was really nervous about reading 10 billion essays about how Corona really ruined my life. And for most people, it's been a similar experience. My heart goes out to anyone who's been seriously impacted by this, but for the vast majority of people, canceling of sports and not being able to go to camp and just the traditional stuff, like, we understand, and we're going to be as understanding as possible.
Okay, great. Jordan, I think, first of all, like, you guys are amazing answering these questions, your machines, but one question that I actually wanted to ask you is, if you could put yourself back to, right before the summer, before senior year of high school, like, what kind of, what would you do differently? What kind of advice would you give to those students who are just entering the application process?
Yeah, for sure. I think, first of all, everyone just needs to be able to remind themselves to breathe. At the end of the day, this process works out, and you are going to figure out the right school for you. I'm a firm believer in everything happens for a reason. But also, something that I wish I told myself before just applying to schools is, when you have a question that says, why this school, why Tulane, why whatever school you're applying to, really make sure that you believe everything you're saying, and that you know why you actually want to attend a school, because this is the next 4 years of your life. So if you always assumed you wanted to go to this one school and then you actually do the research and that's not the right fit for you, then that's totally okay. Just make sure you know what's important to you and really value those things, and then pick schools based off of that. I always knew I loved Tulane, and then once I really figured out why I loved Tulane, it made my decision infinitely easier. But I kind of prolonged that till literally April, when I was supposed to make a decision, just because the idea of college was so scary to me. But these next 4 years, or in 4 years, whenever you attend college, it's going to be the most incredible experience, and you're going to meet wonderful people and have so many cool and unique memories. So just make sure you're picking the right school for you, not what other people are saying, and really value what you want out of a school, what you want to study. If you don't know what you want to study, that's not a big deal. I didn't know what I wanted to study. But just think about what's important to you on campus and what you want to see for the next 4 years.
That's excellent. Any closing comments, anything that you want to share with our audience of teens and their parents? Owen?
Yeah, I think I said this in the presentation part, but just be yourself. And also, sorry if I'm lagging a little bit, my computer's having a hard time here. Be yourself, you know, in terms of your activities, in terms of writing your essays. You know, we want to get to know you as a human being. And it's just, it makes my job more fun. And I know we talked a lot about demonstrated interest, engagement, all that stuff. Try not to get too hung up on that. Like, it's really much more of like, again, answering that question, do we have a shot? Is there a chance you will come to Tulane? And you just need to answer that. You don't need to break your back going to every single Tulane event. I know you've got other schools on your list that do look at interest as well. So again, make sure you're just like being healthy, balancing your time, and just know that like I take a lot of pride in my work and getting to know students and getting to know families. And I truly enjoy getting to know students and watching you transform from a like eager applicant into like an actual full-fledged Tulane student. And I love helping you along that journey. So don't be shy. Feel free to shoot me an email. It's just oknight@tulane.edu. And even if you're not from one of my states, I'm happy to make the introduction for your particular counselor.
Great. Josh, do you have anything you want to close with?
Thank you all again. I know that in this process, Hillel kind of falls in this weird spot of like something you're not really going to do until you get to the university. So with that, if you have any questions, my email is jhare, hair like a rabbit, HARE @tulane.edu. Feel free to shoot me anything, whether it's about our food, our Shabbats, our programs. I'm happy to talk about it with you. And then the other thing I'll say too, to give you more of that vibe though, if you're really interested in the Jewish life and the culture, we're doing a lot of stuff this summer virtually. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook. Almost sounds like a little weird plug, but I'm being honest. Join us for a program. Jump in, watch one of our live streams or something, meet some of our students. And I really hope that that's kind of a way that could help you kind of see what we're like a little bit and give you a glimpse at Hillel and student life, what you're living every day on Tulane's campus. So thank you again. Let me know if you have any questions, and really the best of luck, best wishes, and best wishes for health too.
Awesome. All right, Jordan, how about you?
I guess I'll just finish it by saying that I have completely fallen in love with the school, and I've had the best 2 years so far. Just everything about the school makes me happy just thinking about it. So if anyone has any specific questions that they want from a student's point of view, or any clubs that I'm involved in that you might want to know more about, feel free to email me. I think our contact information is being emailed out, but feel free to email me anything. I love the school. I love talking about the school. I think overall Tulane was a great fit for me. I know that everyone has a different school that's the right fit for them, but if Tulane you think is the right fit for you and you have any more questions, feel free to ask me anything.
Fantastic. You guys, thank you so much for that incredibly informative hour. I think it was super helpful for all the teens and parents on this call. I want to thank everyone who participated in this call. I want to tell you what's coming up this week. Again, I will just reiterate that tomorrow at 12:30, we have a lunchtime webinar featuring the Dean of Admission at Tulane, Jeff Schiffman, who writes an incredible blog. If you haven't gotten a chance to read it, he'll be talking about coping with college admissions in the time of Corona. And then tomorrow at 5:00 p.m., we have representatives from the Jewish Educational Loan Fund, JELF, who will be presenting College Financial Aid 101. On Wednesday at 5, we have our info session featuring the University of Miami. And Thursday at 5:00, we have our info session on Georgia Tech. And to close out the week on Friday, we'll have a 1:00 lunchtime workshop for teens on how to write a winning college application essay. So if you're interested in all of this and jumping on the bus, go to roadtrip.tocollege.org and follow us on social media at JumpSparkATL. All of our sessions are going to be recorded. So if you've missed it, or if somebody else that you know that has missed this session and they want to see it, we have a YouTube channel and it can be found on our Road Trip to College website. Thank you guys so much. See you next time.